We are absolutely excited that you are here to spend time with us today. We appreciate that you take time out of your day. So, today we're going to help you reclaim your time. We're going to show you some really specific examples today of ways that you can use AI to drive efficiency, both in the classroom and in your office space. And so, we've got some ideas to share with you today. As a reminder, our TBR AI Learning Collaborative there's 4 of us, but it's really extended to all of you. You're in a learning collaborative together because, as we often say, there's no way one person can be the expert on absolutely everything. And we enjoy learning from you all as much as you enjoy learning from us. So, just a quick reminder of our team. We do have some housekeeping tips. You hear me say them every month, and I'm going to remind you every month. So, first of all, as we're working with these tools, make sure you're protecting your information. Don't ever put any personal identifiable information into one of these tools. So, no names, never any kind of identifying numbers, any of those things. Do not put it into these tools. If you're working with student data, make sure you are protecting your student data. If you use AI tools to give you feedback or for any reason with student information, make sure that you have removed the student's information prior to copying and pasting it into an AI tool. And lastly, as a reminder, so this is something we've been saying for a while, but I always like to give it as a reminder because we do see it pop up, is we actually recommend not using third-party AI tools for recording, for transcripting. And here's why, is for a lot of these tools, we see Read AI, we see Otter AI, and they're very helpful, but we also don't always understand the terms of service, and we don't understand their privacy policies, and they're varying as in anything with AI, it's a kind of a moving target. And so we really recommend not using those tools. And if you do have them attached, please know that we will very gently kick them out of the meeting. Any of the tools that we have licensed with, for example, Copilot is perfectly acceptable. TBR has a license agreement with Microsoft. All of that is umbrellaed under there. So Copilot is fine. For those that have a license with Zoom has some AI tools that are embedded in there. Those are fine. It's the additional tools, those additional third-party tools that we really recommend are not used when recording. And also, of course, always a reminder that when you're recording, you should tell folks that you're recording. And as always, we record our Tech Talk Tuesdays because they go on our resource so that you can view them later. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? Jamie, if you will advance us one. We have some really interesting examples. We think they're interesting. We hope you do too. So our goal today is that you walk away with one thing or more, but at least one that you want to try out in your office or in your class. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that disruption of 2022 is, kind of bring us up to speed on why this conversation is even happening today. Then we are going to do a quick poll with a little AI tool to talk about LLMs. What is your go-to LLM, and getting to know a little bit of the differences in some of the LLMs that are currently out there. Then we're going to talk about strategies for some of those daily challenges, time management, administrative overload. We're going to talk about how you can automate repetitive tasks, how you can streamline routine tasks, and we've got some examples to show you for some of these things. But first, let's talk about this disruption. Why are we even having this conversation today? Because AI is not new. It's been around for a very long time. Here's where the difference is that with these tools, they became more commercially and readily available to individuals in about 2022. That's when ChatGPT released to the public, and all of a sudden we see this incredible disruption as we've seen those tools continue to release and continue to update and continue to advance and continue to multiply. There's a lot of tools out there. A lot of them are similar. Some of them do a little bit of a different take on the same thing. But really in 2022 is when we saw that rapid growth in AI usage. So in the charts just showing you that in November, ChatGPT was released to the public. And all of a sudden, we had 100 million users in 2 months. All of a sudden, everybody was jumping on the bandwagon. And then fast forward that to 2025, where there's 300 million weekly users in AI tools. And so this is where that disruption comes into place. And part of the reason we're a learning collaborative is because of the speed of the change and disruption. There's no way for one person to know it all, so we learn together. But let's talk about some of those LLMs. Let's talk about what we're using.
We have a website, and we posted the link to that website in the chat earlier, and it's the Bridging Minds and Machines website. And on that website, you're going to see an extensive list of AI tools for various uses. And one of those lists contain the top used large language models, which is what you have in front of you. And so ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Microsoft Copilot Chat, Microsoft Copilot 365, Perplexity AI, and Llama, which is Meta's LLM, all of these tools do very similar types of things. So they're these extremely large language models, meaning that they generate text. And right now, in their current form, what they're literally doing is accessing publicly available information out on the web, and they remix that information as we interact with the tools. So they're not coming up with new empirical information per se. They're just remixing what is already out there. We are hearing information about the next generation of these tools coming out and being able to create some original information that is not currently in existence. So we're looking to see how that's going to unfold in front of us. What you also see on the listing in front of you is examples of uses of each of these. And what we talk about as a team is that it's kind of a personal preference in what tool you use the most, which is your go-to. So what we advise you to do is to take a prompt, one specific prompt, and run it through the multiple models and look at the output that each one of those models gives you. And do that with a couple of different prompts that you have, and you'll quickly see what you want to go to each tool for. So for example, in my world, I use ChatGPT a lot for if I'm working on course development, if I'm working on some of the efficiency tools that we're looking at today. If I am searching the web, I also use ChatGPT for that, but Perplexity AI is kind of my go-to for web searching. And it's just for various reasons. I like the way that it sources for me. So it really is a personal preference, but we encourage you to play with each of these. That's how you become proficient with them. Don't get overwhelmed by looking at, oh, there's so many tools out there. Select one or two, stick with it, learn that one, and then start to add another one to your toolkit. Okay, awesome. I'm gonna hand it over to Erin, and she's gonna talk a little bit about schedule generation.
Thank you, Jamie. Yes, and as we were preparing for this session, I shared with the team that I had used my assistant ChatGPT in a task that I have as the captain of my family's bowling team. I've been using Excel for many, many years to schedule out everyone's when each member was bowling for the weeks over the whole term of the season. But this season provided new challenges for me where I had to, it was a little more complex. So I went to my assistant ChatGPT and put in my requirements. And after a few iterations, it did a great job in scheduling out the bowling team, who was bowling when, and so that we can make sure that everybody had an opportunity to bowl with one another, as well as meet the requirements of minimum games in for the season to get the awards. So with that, take that into work context. Here's a very good example of where you can use ChatGPT in creating a schedule based on whatever criteria you have. So in this case, this is for advisors to map out their scheduling calendar for a semester. And in this case, with 15 weeks, and the parameters are the number of students that are being advised, the types and number of different types of advising sessions, And then what are the fixed time for the work calendar and your fixed breaks. And then any other requirements, in this case, I put in have an even split of in-person and virtual, as well as allow me some time to still have booked and set aside for my administrative tasks outside of these appointments. And so I have used ChatGPT, and if we go to the next slide here, and I created a little video that shows what that looks like. So basically, I put in that same prompt, criteria, the number of students, I think I put in here 50, and 30 general advising and 20 specialized advising. So let's say for students that are preparing to graduate, as an example. Put in my office hours of 8 to 5 with a lunch hour from 12 to 1, and left the rest of the prompt the same. And so I'm sending that off, and you can see how quickly it starts to generate that schedule based on my requirements in my prompt. And so here are the general guidelines, and then it goes into a weekly schedule. And what's interesting is this was the third time I had run this prompt in preparation for creating this video. And this was the first time it gave it to me in a table, which I really liked. So that's something that you can put in your requirements in your prompt itself, is what is it that you want it to have that output presented as. And this would be something that I could translate right into my Outlook calendar, whatever system that I'm using for scheduling my appointments. But then I wanted to go ahead and go to putting in some more specifics. So let's say, for example, the actual calendar. So let me stop sharing for a second, and I'll pull up this second one. So what are the dates for the upcoming semester? So then I can get even more close to an actual schedule that I can implement. And so this next one here shows me putting in the specifics for in the same chat thread. So again, continuing that conversation, but now I'm putting in the last day for registration, the first day of classes, the last day of classes, when students have to submit intent to graduate, any days that the office is closed, so that I can make sure that those aren't included. This is what it comes back with. Again, a little more targeted, a little more specific. So in other use cases, let's say, for example, you have a proposal that you're working towards, you have a due date and incremental task dates that are required for submissions or reviews by other people. Those could be your criteria. You could also modify this to teach and coach students how to set up their own study schedule or long-term projects and planning. So there's are some examples here of how you can use chat to help you with that task. So I want to hand it over to Jamie, and she'll talk about emailing.
Jamie, you're still on mute.
Gotcha. We'll get back to our presentation. We do a little jumping around in this one when we're demonstrating prompts, so just bear with us as we do. Okay, so back to it. So drafting emails, we all do that all day, every day, right? And so it's pretty simple to get ChatGPT or one of the other large language models to assist you with drafting emails. If you use Copilot, and if you have the paid version of Copilot, then the email drafting coach is always active in your email, and you'll see that prompt pop up very quickly. But even if you're not using the paid version of Copilot, you can use Copilot to draft emails for you. So here's a couple of prompts that we have explored, and I want to show you how we can use it for academics and for administrative. So we find ourselves using a lot of the same language when we're emailing a group, such as students, or we're connecting with colleagues in our office. So we can have ChatGPT or one of the other models to draft a template out for us, and then we just modify it once we get the information out of the model. So this first prompt is draft a concise and friendly email to my students informing them of an important update in the course schedule. Include details such as the revised class time, location if applicable, and any adjustments to upcoming deadlines or exam dates. So there's a lot packed in this email. The tone should be supportive and informative while clearly outlining any actions the students need to take. So notice there that we are directing the tone of the email. That is really important when you're connecting with different stakeholders that you have. So students, you want to be upbeat with them when you're communicating. Whereas if you're communicating administratively with your colleagues, you may take a more professional tone. So I'm just going to quickly click, and we're going to take a quick look at what the output came back was on that particular email that I put in for students. And so there is the exact prompt, and we'll be sharing these with you today that are in the presentation. So I was asking for the concise, friendly email to let students know the differences and changes in my course. And so there is the information that came back very quickly. It took 18 seconds for it to generate that output, which is a lot faster than I could have come up with it on my own. So now I have my rough draft in that message, and I can copy and paste that out of the tool and edit it how I want to make it more personalized, and also then just send it off. So we want to remember that when we're doing these types of outputs, that we are not putting in the PII directly into the tool. So that's really important in thinking about pulling the draft off of that presentation or out of that tool and then modifying it for your particular communication. So the second one is an administrative prompt. Draft a friendly yet professional email to colleagues to announce an upcoming team meeting. Include a clear subject line and a bullet points listing the agenda items, discussion topics, and any preparation needed before the meeting. If you have your agenda already created, you can attach that with the message as well, and it will glean information from the external documents that you add. You can add those by uploading or copying and pasting, and it will make the email that it is generating for you match up perfectly with that information. So let's take a quick look at this one. Okay, so this is what it's listing on here. This one's a little bit more lengthy. And the more lengthy the email, the more I really appreciate the output that I can get quickly from the tool. So this one, it took 4 seconds for it to create it for me. So it's going through, it's giving me all of the things that I asked for, the agenda items listing, preparation needed. And then again, I can go back and quickly personalize this email message and get it on out to where it needs to go. And if I find myself doing these over and over, then I want to then store those in a place that I can quickly get to. So I've got my template generation going with the email messages. Okay, so another great use for using a large language model is to generate checklists. And checklists, we can generate those in our classrooms to use with our students. It could be a checklist for an overall course. It could be a checklist for a project. Students can also generate their own checklists for different projects, but this is coming from the perspective of an instructor in a course is wanting to collaborate with the large language model to generate a checklist for the overall course. And so here's the prompt: generate a checklist for my college course, and then I'm going to put in a specific course based on the attached syllabus that includes items like reviewing the syllabus, tracking assignment deadlines, planning study sessions, preparing for exams, and coordinating group projects. Keep the list concise, clear, and actionable. Place the information in a table format. So I'm starting to train that AI when I want to see certain things done a certain way. So that table format is what I'm going to do there. I'm not going to click over and show you how this one then renders itself in the output, but I want to encourage you to try it. So what it's going to do is it's going to set up that checklist in a table. I'm going to attach or copy and paste my syllabus. So it's going to pull from the syllabus. Once that information outputs in that table, then I want to take that table out of the large language model output and then modify it in any way that I need to. Again, it's my rough draft. To get a table out of these systems, you need to highlight the table and copy and paste. If you simply copy out that information or download it, it's going to come down in a text format. So if you've got information and you're asking it to output it in a table, highlight the table and copy paste. The second would be generating a checklist for different tasks that cover different areas. So what you see in the brackets here, I'm just making different suggestions of what you can plug in. So it could be a checklist for tasks that cover course registration or financial aid processing or facilities management or student services coordination or campus event planning. I want to ensure that the checklist is in an organized table format and easy to follow. Also include an email template that I can share along with the checklist. And what I would do there when I'm giving it the direction to build that email template for me is it's going to pull from whether I'm doing course registration, financial aid processing, etc. It's going to look at those pieces that I have included in that chat to then build the email so that it makes sense to go along with the checklist. So play with these prompts. Their checklist generation is a great thing. I have had a lot of success in giving it the table directive. Again, copying out the table, pasting it into your document, and then edit it further. At the bottom of these screens where you see these prompts embedded, you'll see tips. And so down here, as it says, explain what the checklist is about and include any relevant institutional details. Ask for clear, concise checklists in table format. I find myself having to instruct ChatGPT to be concise quite a lot. Another way that I use ChatGPT and other large language models is to generate FAQs. So 2 prompts you can use to help you reclaim your time. For classroom use, we generate FAQs so that our students have a quick go-to. We used to do this like in our learning management systems, right? We would build an FAQ that students could access, and we can actually go ahead and pre-generate that for our courses now, and then add any questions that may not appear on our FAQ or have students add those as we go through the course. So for the classroom use is generate an FAQ for this is my course title that answers common student questions about the syllabus, assignment deadlines, grading policies, office hours, and course expectations. The responses should be clear, concise, and student-friendly. The course syllabus is attached. So I'm just giving that for extra information. You don't have to. You can have it just generate a set of general FAQ questions, and it's going to from where it's learned and been trained on the web, it's going to pull FAQ questions from many syllabi that it's read. So that's a great way to use it. For administrative use, you can generate a comprehensive FAQ for students attending Pellissippi State Community College. So this one was a lot of fun, and I did some, and I'm going to show you what the output looks like. So I pulled one of our colleges and I put it into this example. You plug in your college. The FAQ is about financial aid and covers topics like the application process, deadlines, eligibility criteria, disbursement procedures, scholarship opportunities, and how to resolve common issues. Ensure the tone is clear, accessible, and informative. Provide relevant URLs spelled out so that students can use them for further research. Okay, so I'm asking for a lot there. So first, let me explain that as long as information is publicly available on the web, then these tools will access it and pull information from it. So I'm pointing it to Pellissippi State, and it's going to go find the information on their website if it's embedded there, and pull back the information for me. We also have found that over time that if we instruct these large language models to provide links, that about 60% of the time it gives us a clickable link, and about 40% of the time the link looks clickable, but it actually doesn't go anywhere. So that's why we add the URL spelled out. So let's take a quick look at this one and let you see what it came back with. So there is that exact prompt. So it took 33 seconds. I can't imagine how long it would take me to manually drill down and find this information. So it's going to start in with financial aid FAQ for Pellissippi State. So it started into this area. It's provided the URL. If the URL is not clickable from here, because I have it listed completely out, then I just highlight it, copy and paste it into the browser, and I'm ready to run. So here's another question for my FAQ. How do I apply for financial aid? It's going to go directly to both the studentaid.gov site and to Pellissippi State Financial Aid. Application deadlines, getting into deadlines here. Again, taking me to the direct spot in the Pellissippi State website that I can get to that information. The next question, so you'll see some information that it's adding. So you can see that it has built a great first rough draft for an FAQ, and play around with this. The information, again, as long as it's publicly available on the college's websites or any other place on the web, you will the tool will be able to plug in and get that information for you. So that's two great ways to plug in with checklists and FAQs. There's tips down here. Make sure that you follow those when you play with these different prompts. And I'm going to hand it off to Sarah.
Yeah. Jim, to your question. So we do review the information when on any of these, and I'm going to show this kind of here as well. And this is a great example of what Jamie was saying not to do. So I'm going to show that. But any AI output is a place to start. You still have to go in and verify. Sometimes the links are good. Sometimes the links aren't. What AI does is distills your time down and gives you a place to start, shrinking the time that you would normally spend searching and trying to find that information. It gives you that concentrated place to start. You're still going to have to go and make sure that it's the right information, but it does give you that solid place to start. So you get the time back from the time you would have spent searching. So in this, one of the things that I was thinking about, yes, absolutely trust but verify 100%. That's a great slogan for AI. One of the things that I was thinking about is we do some program work from our seat, but also students are looking at what kind of careers are there. Faculty may want to be able to connect the content in the course to a specific career. So one of the things you may have noticed about me, if you've been around, if this is your first time at Tech Talk Tuesday, I am the simplistic iterative prompter. So Jamie's got these prompts where she's asking for all these things. I'm going to be the one that has a starting point, and then I iteratively prompt. In this, I simply asked, I said, I'm a student and I'm earning an AAS degree in communication from Chattanooga State. The degree is going to be completed in May 2025. Give me a list of potential jobs that I could seek after earning the degree in the Chattanooga market. And this is what I got back from ChatGPT. What I really appreciated was the breakdown, and this is a small sample, so I got like 10 or 15 responses. What I appreciated was the breakdown where it gave me the position, it gave me the role, it gave me an example position, so a social media specialist that bridges consumer healthcare. It requires excellent communication skills, attention to detail, and then it gave me a link. So where mine is different than what Jamie just showed you is I didn't ask for the full URL. In fact, I didn't ask for any of that. Chat gave that to me in addition to. That was kind of a bonus extra. And I thought, oh, I probably should have asked for the URL. But to compare with what Jamie was just showing you, where she got the full URL out of Pellissippi, this is what you get if you don't ask for the full URL. And again, those are about 40% clickable. And so you do want to make sure you prompt for that URL. But I did appreciate the simplicity and the specificity that I got out of this. search and being able to go on and again, trust but verify, go looking deeper into that information. But I appreciated the way it was able to distill those opportunities specific to communication jobs in a Chattanooga market. I thought that was really kind of a great example. I've got another one for you, Jamie, if you'll move forward. So I am not here pointing fingers. My personal experience is sometimes our college websites across TBR are a little bit tough to find information because our directories don't all look the same. I don't know if you all have experienced that. But I thought, hey, what could ChatGPT help with? And so I just said, give me a list of the Veterans Affairs offices at Tennessee Community College. That was the whole prompt. It did provide, the output was a table. Do I know if all of these are correct? No. Again, I have to trust but verify. But what I appreciated was that it listed the colleges. It listed, I've got some names and emails and phone numbers. They may or may not be accurate, but it gave me a really good some really good sample titles so that as I get further into this search, that will help me find the information that I'm looking for. And for 4 or 5 of these, it actually gives me a specific email or specific contact person that then I could go verify if that's correct and probably fix that information a little more quickly than if I had to go look it up on my own. So this is just a quick example of how you can also distill down information that is publicly available on all of our sites, but the time that it would have taken me to look all of this up individually versus the time it's going to take me just to go verify and make sure I've got the right information has been a time saver for me in this particular example. So I've got a couple more that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to say up front that I am a stand-in for Pari. She was not able to be with us today, so she did some of the research. I've used some of these pieces as well, but this is one of my favorites. So the concept of summarization, whether you're taking a handbook or whether you're taking some policy documents, you can actually ask AI to summarize documents for you. And I do this myself in big, when I'm using big documents. You can say, give me 5 concise bullet points. So you need to make sure you identify the document. So we've got some tips at the bottom. Make sure you tell it what themes you're looking for in your prompt. Ask for themes. Make sure you tell it whether you want bullet points. Do you want a paragraph? Do you want a list? The more specificity you can add up front, the easier it's going to be. And I have done this personally, is you can take 2 documents. You can upload documents and say, compare these and tell me what the major changes are. And in this example, we said implications for the student. I have put up 2 different policies and say, tell me what changed and where it is. So if I'm doing a policy review, I can take 2 different policies and say, tell me what's different. If you're trying to help a student, you can say, here, if you have the URL for the student handbook, put it in. If you happen to have it, you can say, here, give me some concise bullet points. So I really appreciate the time save that AI gives me on summarizing documents, and specifically on that comparing 2 documents, especially if they're pretty long. I appreciate the time that I can save having it do the comparison for me. We also can summarize meeting content. So we talked a little bit, you heard me in the beginning talk about not using third-party vendors, but the good news is we have a couple ways that we can use some AI to help summarize meeting content. So you'll notice when you're using Teams, Copilot is now embedded in Teams. So it automatically, if you're recording a meeting, Copilot will summarize and give you bullet points for the meeting, follow-up, takeaways. The other thing is a lot of times our meetings now come in a transcript or meeting notes, or we have some sort of document. You can actually upload that into your favorite LLM and ask it to give you the action items from the transcript, or you can tell it to create a summary of our department meeting and give key decisions and follow-up items. So you can actually take that information and upload it, or if it's embedded in a tool like Teams, we're seeing more of Copilot being embedded in Teams. You're fine, Jamie. Go ahead. So this is one of my, I say I have favorites, and I do for different reasons. We had a survey that we did as part of a project for our CBE work probably 2 summers ago. We did it was a part of our CBE ambassador program, and we had these amazing reports that came back to us. We had this amazing data, but to qualitatively assess that data, Jamie is a rock star, and it took her about 2 weeks to code all of that data. AI can help you minimize that. So we've got a little bit of and I'm going to come back and talk about some tips, but I do have a video I want to share with you. Pari put this together. And I don't know, Jamie, if you want to try and share that. Perfect. Perfect. Just run it and I'll talk over it. So you can take the information from a survey and say, I want you to help quantify this information. Now, in this example, she's got 48 responses. She went to the raw data in Excel, she copied it down, and she pasted it in. She took out the part where it said an example is, so she took that out and she just said, please give me a summary of this information. And so pretty quickly, Chat came back with a summary of the overarching themes from that data table. She had 48 responses in that data table. And it was able to come back with some themes, some pretty specific themes that she could narrow down the responses from that survey. Now, she's going to take it a step further. And she is going to ask it to do just a little bit more, because here she's highlighting that Chat had said, would you like a chart? So she says, sure, give me a chart, you offered. And then they take that same data and Chat produces a chart that has those themes in it and can provide that concise summarization of the themes from that survey. But you can take that yet a step farther. So if you're doing some qualitative analysis, you can say, give me a word cloud. And first, it will give you the code for the word cloud, which is great because you can show the details. You don't have to show the details, but you can take this word cloud and upload it for use. But if you give it just a second, it will actually produce a word cloud for you that's pretty accurate, actually. But you can also then take that. The downside of the word cloud is you don't have a lot of control over what it looks like, color, theme, those kinds of things. But you could take that code and upload it somewhere else. So that's just a quick example of how you can take survey data and have AI summarize that for you. There are a couple caveats to this that I'd point out. Remember in the beginning, I said don't use PII. So if you have survey data, you're going to want to make, and you're going to want AI to use it, you need to make sure you're setting up your survey so that your PII is in separate fields than your responses. So make sure that you have, if you're collecting emails, first and last names, whatever, that those are separate responses to your actual data that you're going to want summarized. You will want to do a quick scan of your information to make sure that there isn't any that somebody in their response didn't accidentally put some PII that you need to clear out before you put it into the AI tool. But it's a great way that you can use AI to help summarize the responses pretty quickly with qualitative data specifically. I'm a big word cloud fan, so I think that's a great idea, but I do appreciate the simplicity with which AI can come back and summarize those responses for you. And sometimes she has on here the Coax AI. So we were actually at a conference talking about AI a couple weeks ago, and Ethan Mollick was up there demonstrating he was trying to get it to produce this image. And Chat actually told him, I'm sorry, I'm a language model, I'm a text model, I don't do images. And he had to prompt it again. And he said, I believe in you. You can do it. Provide me the image. And it came back. Chat actually came back and said, okay, you're right. Here you go. And then it produced the image. So if you know a tool can do something that's functionally able to, and it tells you it's not, sometimes you do have to give the AI some encouragement to be able to get the item that you want. So, and I thought that was actually pretty funny because it was pretty hilarious to see it live. Like, he really did type in and said, I believe in you. You can do it. Give me my image. So I thought that was pretty funny. But it's a good reminder that sometimes you do have to push these tools too. And it looks like the last one, I think, is Jamie, is this you? Or is this me?
You.
Perfect. I actually have tried this. So you can actually take your, if you have, we talked a little bit ago about taking like the transcript for a meeting or meeting notes and uploading it. You can take that a step farther and saying, how can I transform this into a polished summary for in this example, it says advising sessions, but you could take your raw meeting notes and say, could you provide a polished summary, provide an executive summary of these meeting notes, include action items. Or if there's a brochure, if there's some sort of marketing piece and you want to be able to build something that's a little more engaging, you can ask it to, you can upload the document and say, can you rewrite these sections in a more friendly tone? Can you create bullet points for the key details? Can you optimize the layout? You can put in a policy. You can upload policies. So in all of the LLMs, there's an opportunity. There's a little paperclip. You can upload a document in there. Make sure some will take a Word document. A lot of them need it in a .pdf format. So make sure you know what format needs to be uploaded in there. But you can actually say, could you create a more readable policy? Could you improve the readability of this policy? I've actually taken content and said, could you please improve readability by rewriting it to the level of a middle school reader? That's kind of a baseline when we're doing some workforce things, is you want to be able to consume it at a quick level. And so I said, rewrite it at a middle school level, and had it rewrite. Now, I did use, this was a couple of months ago, and I was using Gemini, and I got lots of cools and awesomes, which wasn't appropriate. So back to the comment earlier, you really want to know what tool you want to use. You want to test so you know the outputs you're going to get. In Gemini's defense, it's gotten a whole lot better in the last couple months, and produces some really good quality outputs, which is also a shout out to don't give up on an AI tool because they're moving and changing so fast. Keep going back, keep testing, keep seeing what outputs you're getting. I use chat for something that's completely different than I use Gemini for. I've been playing with Grok recently, and it is super casual and interactive, and it's hilarious. If you need a bit of some entertainment, go play with Grok. But they have different personalities and different outputs. So keep trying until you get what you need. But this is just a few examples of how you could optimize your documents with some prompting and some help from AI.
Okay, those are very good pointers, Sarah. Thank you for that. So idea generation. These large language models are creative. And in fact, some of the hallucinations that we experience are from that creativity that's coded into those algorithms. And so a great way to use these tools is for idea generation. And this is one of the things that I love the most. And Sarah mentioned Ethan Mollick. I was listening to in his book, Co-Intelligence, he was talking about there is a small slice of the population that are really creative thinkers. They come up with all of these out of the box strategies and ideas on their own. And he teaches innovation, so he sees some of that in his classroom. I am not one of those people. So I need to have a collaborative partner that's a really creative idea thinker. And so these tools do that for me. And so I can push them and they can give me some ideas of things that I may not have thought about. And we do this quite a lot in our group with thinking about, okay, in the classroom, we see lots of things happen like presentations, speeches, different assignments that students do. But what are some more creative ways that we can have students demonstrate their learning? Or what are some more creative ways we can present our content? We can build activities to increase engagement. And so increasing engagement, I want some creative ideas there. So you'll see here at the top, I've listed student engagement. A prompt there suggests 3 creative strategies for increasing student engagement. That's a basic question, very simple prompt. And I'm going to start at that point and see what it comes back with. Now that's increasing student engagement here could be within a classroom, or it could be for first-year students. So that's a great way to start getting these tools to give you ideas. The second one, design a virtual Ask Your informational session, encouraging students to submit their questions or topics of interest in advance. So let's say that you're having a virtual meeting at the very beginning of class, and you're having that session where students are all introducing themselves. And so you can have the ChatGPT to design that session for you, and have it to prompt students to submit questions that they have about the course, and that could then be sent out through your LMS. If you are an advisor, you could have it design a virtual advising session, informational session. Same thing, get student questions beforehand. Financial aid person, and your financial aid office wants to have a virtual session. You can have it create one of those for you. For trends and best practices, this is a great way that we use it often in our group. So what innovative instructional strategies and emerging technologies are top colleges using to enhance student engagement and learning outcomes? And how can these practices be adapted to improve my classroom? Play with that prompt, put it out there, and use what innovative, fill in the blank right there. It may not be instructional strategies, whatever you want to plug in, and see what the ChatGPT can come back with, or your other LLM, your favorite LLM, and it will scan the landscape out there on the web and come back with innovative strategies and ideas for you. A good prompt for administrators: what practical strategies are other colleges using to simplify daily operations, or reduce paperwork, or improve communication among staff? So if you want to see what's going on out there in the higher ed landscape, you can prompt these tools and it will find the information that's publicly available and bring it back to you. So again, for creative idea generation, they are really, really effective in that area. So some tips that we want to share with you when you're working with the prompts. And again, we're going to share the presentation with all the prompts embedded. You want to work at an iterative refinement. So Sarah said that she starts out with a really simple prompt. I do too, most times. I prompt the way I communicate. So if I've got a partner sitting with me or one of my teammates with me and we're in a meeting, I'll ask a simple question, and then I get feedback from my teammates, and then I'll know how to adjust my question or to steer the conversation and those kinds of things. It's the very same way you communicate with these tools. Verification and editing. Sarah mentioned this. We always verify the information that's coming out of these tools. Always know that what you're getting out of the tool is a rough draft. And if you're working with students, these tips are the very same for them. And so if you're having them use the tools in your class, they always need to verify they always need to use it as a rough draft. We never want to have students pulling things out of the system or ourselves and just flipping those around, right? So verification and editing. Workflow integration. One thing that I mentioned in a training we were doing. So if you're thinking about where could I plug in AI in my workflow, identify your pain points. Where are those? What are those tasks in your daily job that you wish that you didn't have to spend so much time on? And see if you can devise a way that you can offload to AI to do some of the lifting for you. And then it can get you ahead in the process of that task. And then you can take that information you're getting in the output and then refine that for however you need it. So workflow integration, we talked about all the tips that we have here, but again, identify those pain points and start with one of those. Responsible use, always check the accuracy of content. Again, hallucinations are getting less and less, but they still do exist. And also, it's accessing information on the web. And if we think about information that's out there, think about Wikipedia. It's not all accurate, right? And so bear that in mind, that we need to verify the information that we are then using or and including into our information. So make sure that you're tracing back those official sources. And if you're having students use these, make sure that they're always citing their sources and that they're applying their critical thinking skills in that regard. So those are our few tips for you. Here is a link to our Bridging Minds and Machine website. That's going to have, again, extensive tool listing and use cases. It's broken down to tell you if the tools are free. We try to lean on our free tools as much as we possibly can. The recordings for these sessions are all found there. The registration link for this session is found there as well. And also, we have vetted resources that we have gone around the web and looked for, and we have those posted on that website, so make sure that you're using that website. The registration link is embedded in this slide when you get this presentation. Again, it's also embedded on that website, and you can reach out to us as a team at ailearning@tbr.edu. That email goes to the 4 of us on our team, and so someone will grab that and talk with you. And if you want to talk about something that was in this presentation or something you're thinking about for your course, or you have questions about a tool or how to use a tool, please reach out to us. That's why we are here. And so I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I'm going to hand it back over to Sarah so she can close us out.
Well, thank you all for taking time with us today. I am also popping in the chat the link to join us in April for Tech Talk Tuesday. So you're welcome to go ahead and register for the April Tech Talk Tuesday. I've popped that link in the chat. You should also see the link to our resources site. I would suggest you check that out. And then I've put our email in there as well. So don't hesitate to reach out. We learn as much from you as you learn from us. And so we absolutely want to hear from you. We want to thank you so much for taking time with us today. We are going to stick around for just a minute or two if you have questions, but I know we are at the top of the hour and we want to be really respectful of your time. So thank you all so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And if you try cool things in AI, don't forget to email us and tell us about them because we want to learn too. Have an awesome afternoon.